Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. I am really under the weather, bad head cold, sore throat, and I feel like hell. But this morning I got a message from one of our viewers, David Kunsley, who recently celebrated a birthday down in New Orleans, and he said we had two deaths that recently happened in the rock and roll world, and if you don't do a video, I'm going to come up to Long Island and beat you up and unsubscribe. So I take David's threats very seriously. I'm going to do a video on two deaths, unfortunately. David Johansen passed away actually on my birthday, February 28th, at the age of 75. And then I think yesterday, Joey Molland, the last surviving member of Badfinger, passed away. So here's a quick video tribute to these two artists. So, David Johansen from the New York Dolls, his debut album came out in 1973, glam rock. To me, they're a band that's more famous for their name and their members. Honestly, I'm not a big fan. David Johansen, of course, lead singer, and you got Sylvain, Johnny Thunders. He's so famous. The Kinks name checked him in a song. Arthur Kane, and then Jerry Nolan, the drummer. The debut in '73 came out, glam rock. I tried it, I bought it. I was not a big fan of the album. In fact, I even got their second album, which came out in '74, Too Much Too Soon. I wasn't thrilled with it. I called it Too Little Too Late. That was my name for it. But, David Johansen, the lead singer, very Mick Jagger-esque, and Johnny Thunders being Keith Richards-like as well. Really legendary band, and they even reformed later on in the 2000s because I think they became even more famous as time went on as an influence, of course, of the New York Dolls. But irregardless, is a very sad loss. Johansen, after the New York Dolls, actually, in my mind, had a really pretty successful career because I remember late 1980s he did... what the hell was it? Buster Poindexter. And it had a big hit. What was it? Hot, Hot, Hot? Which is probably on this album. That was a huge... Maybe it's not on here. No, it's not on here. But that was a huge hit that everybody knew. Then he did like a bluesy thing with the Harry Smiths, I remember. And he was even a successful actor. You look at his filmography, he did a lot. Movies, TV. So it was really sad. I was unaware of it, that he had stage 4 cancer. And a brain tumor dating back to like 2020. But it was recently where he was all over the news because his family was trying to raise money for his health care because he had fallen and was crippled. He broke his back. So it's a horrible ending to David Johansen's life, and it is really a tragedy. I only have one David Johansen album. It's this one called Live It Up, which was a live one. I'm a live album fan, but like I said, I had bought the two New York Dolls albums, the original ones, and I just, to be completely, it's not that I don't like their songs. In my personal taste, I'm not a huge fan of David Johansen's voice, so, but that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean he wasn't great, and he certainly deserves, as David said, a tribute to his passing. So, David Johansen, a very sad loss for so many people, and certainly New York Dolls, an influential band. Now, Badfinger, boy, does rock and roll stories get much more tragic than Badfinger. So, they were signed to Apple Records 1968. So their career was 68 to give or take 73, 74, I imagine. But they actually had 4 legendary hits. You got Come and Get It, No Matter What. That's on here. Day After Day, and of course, Without You, which was a standard. I mean, how many covers are there of the song Without You? I mean, it's literally a all-time classic. But the band became embroiled with the lawsuits of Apple Records and lawyers and legal proceedings, and it literally crippled the band financially and the members financially. It was just a tragic story. Pete Ham quit Badfinger back in '74. Right when that Apple legal thing was happening. And in April 1975, basically a year later, he hung himself in his garage because of financial difficulties. He had bought a house, had a mortgage, he had a baby on the way. He was like, how the hell am I going to pay for this? And he wrote a suicide note and killed himself at the age of 27. That was truly the end of Badfinger. That was Pete Ham. There was 4 members in the band. Tom Evans, Joey Molland, 2 of the other guys, They, many years later, had a terrible fight about songwriting royalties and who was making money, who wasn't. They were all struggling financially. And after that fight, Tom Evans hung himself at his house. That was in 1983, so about 8 years after Pete Ham hung himself. So 2 tragic suicides in Badfinger, a band that was, attached to the Beatles and Apple Records. You'd kind of think that shouldn't happen financially, but I don't know. The drummer was Mike Gibbons. He passed away from a brain aneurysm, much later, 2005. And then the last surviving member was Joey Molland. There is what they look like, the 4 members. And he passed away just the other day on March 1st after suffering from multiple health issues. So the last surviving member, Badfinger, they're all deceased now. And then, of course, David Johansen, who was totally unaware of what his health issues were. And it's very sad, for sure, that he passed away in such a horrible way. And also, I don't know much about his life, but you think about the success that he had. The New York Dolls have sold records now. And as a solo artist and making movies and TV, that his daughter tried to raise money because they didn't have the money. And it's really sad. I don't understand that. But I actually saw David Johansen live once. So, not like I didn't try. So, I don't know if you could see this or not. So, David Johansen I saw in SUNY Albany when I went to school there. And they had Mayfest. And the headliner in 1983 at Mayfest was U2. But David Johansen also played, as did Robert Hazard, who wrote that hit for Cyndi Lauper, by the way. So that was when I saw David Johansen at SUNY Albany. Great performer, great lead vocalist, performer. I just could never become a huge fan, but that's me. It certainly was a legendary guy. Certainly in the New York area. The New York Dolls are legends. So my little tribute to David Johansen and Badfinger. It's very sad that these things happen. So let me know your thoughts. Are you a fan? And maybe you know more about the Badfinger financial situation. I just never understood how that could happen, where these 2 guys committed suicide because of financial difficulties, and it was attached to the Beatles, where there's more money. I know the Apple Records thing was a disaster, but there's a lot of money floating around there. It's just sad. And David Johansen also, of course. Anyway, thanks for watching, David. I'm going to go get back into my bed and lay down because I do not feel well, but I hope you appreciate this. Hope, David, you had a happy birthday in Mardi Gras. Send me some more pictures. And I will see you guys next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.